So much has happened in the last few years with all the disasters we've seen. Life throws a curveball. You pick yourself up and continue life's journey. But there are some things in life you can do something about. Today, we're talking about home fires and smoke alarms. This is important to all households and really important to households with young children or an older relative you're caring for. The American Red Cross responds to more than 60,000 disasters a year, and the majority are home fires, which is the nation's most frequent disaster. Home fires claim 7 lives each day across the United States, but we know that working smoke alarms cut that risk in half. So, here to provide ways we can prepare is Ed Bush, the Regional Disaster Officer from the Louisiana Red Cross and the former Executive Director of the Capital Area West Chapter. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us how the Red Cross assists families after home fires.
Sure. Helping families during a time of need is a big part of the Red Cross mission, and it's written in our mission statement. We aspire to alleviate suffering, but as you know, suffering can come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. And I think all too often people think that the Red Cross is only there for a big disaster or a flood or something where the entire town can't go home and need shelter. But there's a far more dangerous and more common disaster that we deal with every day, and that is home fires, as you said. And helping those families in that time of need after a home fire, that's a big part of our mission. And we're trying to do more and more that we can to not just be there to help them at the time, but also to make them a little bit safer. A lot of folks have no idea that Louisiana Red Cross volunteers respond 5 times a day to home fires throughout the state. And we're there to provide care and comfort to that family during what is possibly the worst night of their lives. After a disaster action team gets the call, they show up at the home to provide care and support. And this could come in the form of snacks and blankets, a warm shoulder to lean on, and a warm body to hug. Our volunteers also have the option of providing some financial assistance to those families who've been hit with some of their immediate needs. And this can be very helpful in providing some food and some shelter and clothing, that night on the spot while the family tries to regroup and recover. We also then go on to connect the family with caseworkers and other community partners who can help in any number of ways. And we stay by the family. We stay close until we're sure that they're on a good path and to long-term recovery. So, yeah, this is a year-round mission, and we share that fire information with all of our partners in those most at-risk communities.
That's absolutely wonderful, Ed. So, if there are 5 fires a day in this state, that must be a few thousand a year annually.
It's dramatic. Already this year, we've responded to just over 1,300 fires, and we've assisted almost 4,500 individuals.
Wow. What steps can we take during this time of increased risk this time of year?
Yeah, and that's a big part of our home fire safety campaign. We know we want to respond when needed, but we sure would prefer to try to help educate families to keep them a little bit safer. Statistically, it's proven that if a family has a good working smoke alarm in their house, it dramatically increases the chances that they're going to be okay and get out of the house safely. And additionally, having some education on where to put things and what to do and what not to do. For example, we're getting ready to go into the colder months of the year. And if you're using a space heater, we remind people, please don't ever leave it unattended and give it at least 3 feet of space. And when you're using your fireplace, please make sure that the fire is extinguished before you go to bed or leaving home. And all too common, we'll lose power. And when you have no power and the house is cold, people might be tempted to use a generator. And we remind people that using a generator presents several hazards, not the least of which is carbon monoxide. So please don't use the generator inside. And if you are using it outside, make sure it's not by a window where those fumes are now also coming into the home. So by educating families on what to do and what not to do, it can dramatically increase the chances of keeping people safe.
Tell us more about how the local community can support the National Sound Alarm Campaign.
Yeah, so the Sound Alarm Campaign was born in 2014, specifically designed to mitigate the chances of home fires and keep people safer. And we install smoke alarms year round, but we have a specific time throughout the year where we kind of shine a light on that mission, and we ask all of our partners to recruit volunteers and help us to install smoke alarms in neighborhoods. So I'm pleased to report that this year we've already installed a good number of smoke alarms, almost 1,300 this year, and that equates to keeping over 600 homes safer and almost 2,000 people safer in the neighborhoods across Louisiana. So those are great opportunities for individual volunteers and partners and groups and a school or the local university or your church to all come on out and pick a neighborhood and help us go home to home, street for street, and make those homes safer.
Wonderful. And how do you sign up for a free smoke alarm?
Yeah, we make it real easy. You can go to your website, www.soundthealarm.org/Louisiana, and that'll take you to a spot where you can either say you'd like us to show up and help install a smoke alarm or come to your neighborhood. You can also contact us at 1-800-RED Cross, and one of our caseworkers will be in touch and get back to you.
Anything else you'd like to add, Ed, before we close?
Yeah, I think I'd like to share a quick story. In Louisiana, we're pretty used to hurricanes and flooding and an occasional tornado, but this year we had our first taste of wildfires, which brought our home fire safety much more to the forefront. I saw a lot of neighborhoods and officials be pretty nervous during that time. And quite frankly, it took Louisiana a minute to even make sure we had the right equipment and we're prepared to fight a wildfire, because a wildfire is something different altogether. But I could not have been more proud to be part of an organization that showed such nimbleness to quickly put together a plan. And it's sometimes evacuating an entire city that were potentially in harm's way and then responding quickly. So I think it just really makes the point that you started us out with, was that people need to be attentive and tuned in because we don't know where disaster is going to strike and we may or may not have much time to react. So those are the moments where it becomes increasingly important to have a plan. And if you need to move quickly to be able to do so, I'm sure that there are people in your audience who don't move that quickly as well. And we need to be thoughtful and planned out that should I have to evacuate, who do I need to call to perhaps get me some help to get me safer and get out of harm's way? And I think all of that is just good preparedness tips because, again, disaster comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes.
So that's the curve life can throw.
That's exactly right.
Share the wildfires.
Yeah,
So.
That's exactly right. Just when you thought you'd seen it all, yeah, life's going to throw a new one at you. But it all comes down to good planning and good preparedness.
Well, thank you for such useful information. I'm Pam Butler, Communications Volunteer with AARP Louisiana. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the time.